Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. For Nier Reincarnation, let's go over the third developer's blog entry, delayed a couple days after Nier Day because the 28th fell on a weekend. Today, leader of the Nier scenario writing team, Mr. Wada, had two guests, head character designer Momojiru and head concept artist Mr. Hanayama. I'm guessing this is a Mr. And although Yoko Taro did not take part, his presence is still very felt, so stick around to the end of the video for that. Momojiru explains he directed the design of the characters and weapons and wrote the 4-panel comics that were on the official Twitter account. I have translated many of those, I'll link to the playlist below. This was one of the most surprising things to me, but Mr. Wada says that the scenario team wrote mock-ups for the comics, then handed them off to Momojiru to draw the final product. I always assumed it was Momojiru that did the whole thing himself, but my respect for the scenario team goes up seeing this. A lot of these comics are funny and cute and charming, and it's thanks to the scenario writing team, so good job to them. Next is Mr. Hanayama. He says he was in charge of the concept art, and in the later stages of service of the game, he directed the art of other elements. By concept art, they mean environments, and Mr. Wada asks to show an example. But rather than an environment, Mr. Hanayama's first job was to design the scarecrows in the cage that hold the memories. He was told to design them so that they reflected the person who originated the memories, and we can see the Sun-Moon characters here. They say there were many characters, so it was a lot of work to create them all, and they were relieved that there were no more new characters in the People World arc. Getting back to Momojiru, Mr. Wada asks for some behind-the-scenes episodes. This is really interesting too, but Momojiru says he created assumed stories in his designs. Mr. Hanayama elaborates, saying with Reincarnation, the art always came first, and from that came the setting and plot and character, which points back at a previous interview where they talk about the unusual writing pattern that Yoko Taro prefers. And so, during the initial art design, Momojiru made up a story himself and tried to inject it visually into the characters in order to give the writers some kind of jumping-off point. As an example, Momojiru shows his design of Fio's costumes. He says he knew Fio was poor and suffered oppression, so he designed her costumes as if they were doll's costumes that maybe she would wear in a dream. Mr. Wada exclaims that Fio's head writer must have picked up on that. Momojiru is surprised too, and Mr. Wada shares the cheat sheet for Fio, where both the phrases dream world and doll clothing appear in it. Momojiru says he wasn't expecting anyone to pick up on it, but he is happy that they did. Then Mr. Hanayama brings up the idea of a limited palette of colors, and Momojiru shows off some of his favorite designs, the circus-inspired festive costumes. And this is cool because we see Lars and Udil here for the first time. These did not even appear in the materials book. Mr. Hanayama also points out that while these costumes are inspired by a certain period, they are tailored to reflect the wearer's era. So like Noel is from the far future, while Udil is from the far past, and their costumes are designed to match that era. They talk about with all of these restrictions, as the game went on, it became more and more difficult to design these costumes. Then they turn to Mr. Hanayama's concept art. His first step was to create a digital model. We can see the Sarafa and Udil Kingdom of Sea and Sand here. After building the model, he then tried to find the best angles to portray in finished concept art. Mr. Wada asks if he was mindful of battle happening in these locations, and Mr. Hanayama says yes, he made sure to have wide open spaces, but also kept in mind story beats. Momojiru offers the climax of the Sun-Moon arc as an example, and Mr. Hanayama says yes, that took a lot of work, and we can see all of the drafts here. Mr. Hanayama kept in mind the fact that the two protagonists are high school students, that they have this important meeting and showdown in this area. Then Mr. Wada shows the overview of events that happen here, including the different endings. This was his first draft of writing. And then it ultimately took 3 months of redesigns to get the final one, and Mr. Wada says he feels bad about doing that to Mr. Hanayama. Finally, they talk about their personal favorite pieces of art. Momojiru says his favorite are these ruffs of Papa and Black Mama. He said they were all cute, so he had trouble deciding which to go for. And Mr. Hanayama also points here that at this time, they weren't decided how these characters actually fit in the game. They just handed it off to Momojiru to do the design first. Then they ask Mr. Hanayama's favorite art, and he replies, the birdcage, which appears at the final area of the game. He knew this would be his final job on Reincarnation, so he wanted to incorporate everything he learned from the game into it. And Mr. Hanayama also contributed to the animations and effects of this area, he said. And then, Mr. Wada is about to introduce his favorite art, but is interrupted by scenario writing group member Fukujima, who says Mr. Wada is late for his meeting with Yoko Taro. Mr. Wada apologizes and says he will go to Yoko Taro right away, but Fukujima says he already left work. Mr. Wada then laments that he had things to confirm with him today, but will be unable to do so. Then they wrap up. Momojiru says he will always remember the characters of the game and the experiences he had with making the game. Mr. Hanayama says what left the biggest impression on him was that even with the shutdown of the game decided, surprisingly the mood of the team didn't drop at all. He felt great support and camaraderie from the team. They say goodbye, and as a postscript, they show Mr. Wada's favorite art, where Hina and Papa go to Kaina's house, and where Yuzuki and Black Mama head towards the awful revelation in the Sun Moon arc. So that's it for the blog entry, but I want to ask, why even include that little episode with Yoko Taro asking for Mr. Wada? It would have been the easiest thing in the world to leave it out or edit it out, but they very purposefully left it in, and I interpret it to mean two things. One, to show that they are working on a new Nier project, which we already knew, and two, as a teaser for an upcoming blog entry with Yoko Taro as a guest. Those are my assumptions, anyway. Okay, I will also link to the previous blog entries below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.